The Prime Minister has promised that all existing disability claimants will now be able to keep their benefits in a bid to head off defeat by his own MPs.
But it now puts pressure on the Chancellor to find more money to pay for it.
Care Minister Stephen Kinnock joins us now from Westminster. A challenging day, Care Minister. It's a U-turn. Just to be clear, up until last night, it seemed that you personally were prepared to back these cuts in benefit, even as 140 of your colleagues rebelled. Now, the Prime Minister has U-turned and said that existing claimants will be apparently protected, although new ones won't be. The big question is, as Minister for Care, were you wrong to support the original plan?
I think it's been a really positive and constructive process with backbench colleagues engaging with ministers, and as a result of those conversations, we've got a better package today. It's an improved package. I've always been clear that we were elected as a government on a manifesto which had one word on the front cover: change. We have to change this welfare system that we have after 14 years of the Conservatives putting it in the too difficult box. And those changes we're bringing forward now are going to do two things. They're going to create a proper safety net for the people who need it, and particularly people who are not able to work, but also a springboard for people who can, because at the moment we've got far too many people who are being labelled as unfit to work, and that's the worst of all worlds for all of them. And I'm also really pleased that we've got this review that is going to be led by my colleague Stephen Timms, the Disabilities Minister. He's going to be co-producing that review with disabled people so that we ensure from November 2026 onwards we have a reformed system which does those two things: safety net and springboard.
Well,
so I think we're in a better place
presumably,
today.
Minister, change with Labour values and change that's going to work. Now, I wonder how confident you are you're going to get the bill through. Just have a listen to the MP for Liverpool Wavertree, Paula Barker, who's expressed real concern about this. Just hear what she has to say.
People who are currently on PIP will be allowed to stay on PIP, but those who come later won't be eligible, quite frankly, is unacceptable. The Prime Minister stood at the dispatch box today and he spoke about fairness, the fairness of a Labour government. Well, I don't see anything fair about somebody with a disability who's currently on PIP still receiving it, and somebody who comes later with exactly the same condition not getting it. There's nothing fair about that.
There's your own MP saying there's nothing fair about that new claimants won't be entitled to the same disability claims and benefits as people are now. You know, you talk about sorting out the system, but above all else, about fairness. Is she right, or is your own Labour MP wrong? Is it fair?
I've got huge respect for Paula, and she's such a strong champion for her constituents. What I would say is what we've got in the package already is some really important changes. The biggest support for getting back into work since the 1980s. We're introducing the right to try, so people who are on PIP who do get a job but for whatever reason are maybe not able to hold on to that job. Right now they have to go all the way back to square one in terms of applying for PIP. We're changing that, and we're also scrapping these humiliating reassessments for people who clearly are not able to go back into work. None of those changes are going to be able to be delivered if we don't get this bill through on Tuesday. So I think what I would also say to Paula is, of course, the review that Stephen Timms is leading on will address exactly the issue that she raises, which is how do you ensure there are no anomalies in the system and that people who are vulnerable get protection, but the people who are able to go back into work have that springboard to do that. So I think that the Stephen Timms review is going to address a lot of the concerns that Paula just talked about.
I wonder if the problem is, because I know how passionately you believe in what you're saying and it's the right thing to do in your views. I wonder if the problem is that the big things that have upset people and led to the biggest U-turns are things that do not ally with what people perceive as Labour values. Your dad one of your confessed political heroes, Neil Kinnock, made a speech that's almost mythical when he was in opposition, trying to encourage people not to put Margaret Thatcher in power. People will know it even if they don't know it's him that said it. It was famously, do not fall ill if Thatcher comes back to power, do not get old. You know, he warned of poverty as benefits will be whittled away. And that really tallied with people. And yet this Labour government attacked the elderly by taking away winter fuel payments, led to a U-turn, big changes to the benefits, the disabled and vulnerable scared how they're going to live because of these changes. It just eats at the core of what people believe Labour is. How does that on earth rally with you, and how has the message got so wrong, if what you say is true?
Well, our Labour values are clear. We will always fight for dignity, respect, and valuing people and their contribution to our communities. But the way to do that is not
what this looked like, is it? That's not what this is. You might say the details there, you know, and Sir Keir Starmer has had to make this change after a landslide majority, not even a year in power, and suddenly you're back to an absolute rebellion.
Well, if you just let me finish the point, those values are fundamental. They are integral to what it means to be Labour. But you don't deliver those values, you don't put them into practice by just walking away from problems and putting them in the too difficult box. We are a party that is about radical reform. The first word on our manifesto is change. We have a mandate to change and to deliver, and we have a Prime Minister who will never just walk away from the problems, because he knows that if we don't fix the safety net, then everybody will suffer in the system. If we don't get people back into work, we'll never get an economy that's growing again. We'll never be able to fix our public services. But this is also the Prime Minister who is getting NHS waiting lists down, 1,700 more GPs on the front line, 6,700 more mental health workers, £120 million for 85 mental health emergency centres. We've got changes to the NHS app so that people can self-refer for talking therapies rather than constantly having to go through the GP. We've got the 10-year health plan with three big shifts coming forward. It's about reform within the framework of the values that we will never walk away from.
You talk about values, you have to be able to deliver them. I mean, this is quite surprising.
People want change, they want to see change for the better.
You didn't seem to consult any disability groups. I mean, that's just sort of a basic 101 mistake, to say the very least, to be kind. But on top of that, if this U-turn is right, according to the numbers, it means that you're going to be a £1.5 billion in shortfall on the savings and the change that you say you want to make. Now, if that's right, it means that other services are going to have to be cut as well. And this is your own MPs who are rebelling, who have done this. I wonder what your message is to them.
Well, I was really pleased to see, for example, one of the main signatories of that Reason Amendment, Meg Hillier, has welcomed the package that we've negotiated. So I think it's really important to say that that many of those who signed that Reason Amendment are absolutely on board with what we're doing. I think the Stephen Timms review will have disabled people at the heart of it. It'll be co-produced. But what I would say is that there's never been, probably in the history of Parliament, a piece of legislation that hasn't come through without being amended. Normally, amendments about implementation happen at committee stage, the next stage of the process. Because colleagues have been fighting so hard for their constituents, we're having this discussion earlier at second reading stage. But the government has listened, engaged, and as has very, very often happened in the past, governments want to improve the position, particularly Labour governments. We don't run away from the challenges that we face. We actually move towards them rather than putting them in the too difficult box, which is what the Conservatives have done for the last 14 years. This is about fixing
some would say
our broken
change your mind in circumstances
system.
where it looks like you might not get the bill through. But either way, thank you very much.
Well, we're certainly not changing our mind on the principles.
Thank you very much.
The principle is to reform the system.
Thank you very much,
Good
Care
to speak to
Minister.
you this morning.